Alright, good morning students. In this video lecture today, we're going to discuss the poem A Tiger in the Zoo by Lizzie Norris. Okay, now before we get into the poem, let us understand what this poem is about. This poem draws a contrast. It draws a comparison between a tiger at two different places. First, the tiger is caged. The tiger is in the zoo. And in the second case, the tiger is in its natural habitat, that is the forest. So let us start off with the discussion and let us see how beautifully the poet draws the comparison between the tiger in these two places. Okay, now before we move any further, let us understand what is important for us. The name of the poem and the name of the poet is extremely important. You need to learn both these points. Okay, in the exams, the stanza might be given there, and according to the stanza, they might ask you to name the poem and the poet. So you'll have to solve it out accordingly, right? So therefore, you need to learn the name of the poem and the poet by heart. Okay, moving on to the poem itself. The very first stanza. He stalks in his vivid stripes, the few steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quiet, in his quiet rage. Again, I'm going to discuss this again. I'm going to read this paragraph out again, and please pay attention while I read this out. He stalks in his vivid stripes, the few steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quiet, in his quiet rage. Now let me read out the explanation and then we'll understand this line wise. Okay, so in this paragraph the poet says that the tiger is confined in the zoo and is able to move only a few steps in his cage. He moves quietly on his velvety pads. He is full of rage but is quiet. Here, few steps imply that the tiger has been provided with limited space to move in the cage. Then the poet describes the tiger's appearance. He has prominent stripes all over his body. His paws are as soft as velvet, and because of this, the tiger walks silently around the cage. Although the tiger is silent, he is angry. This despair and helplessness gets reflected on his face. Come back to the first stanza. Now he stalks in his vivid stripes. Stalking, walk. So he's walking, over here. How is he walking? In the cage. The tiger is not in a very happy or not in a very jolly mood. He's angry. So he's walking angrily and in his vivid stripes. Vivid meaning absolutely clear. Stripes meaning over here, look at the picture over here, this yellow and black, these yellow and black things over here, these marks, those are known as stripes. Okay, all of you must have seen a tiger, so it has black and yellow stripes on it. So he walks on his clear stripes a few steps of his cage. Now where is he walking? He's walking in the cage. And why a few steps? Why the few steps? Because the cage is small. It's not, large enough for him to walk. So therefore, what he does is he's only able to walk a couple of steps because the cage is small. On pads of velvet quiet. Now what is the meaning of on pads of velvet quiet over here? Now pads of velvet quiet, they refer to the paws of the tiger. Velvet is a fabric. It's a cloth material, or it's a soft material. So velvet is a soft material, it's a fabric. Okay, to make it easy for you, it's basically a sort of a cloth that is extremely soft. Okay, so on pads of velvet quiet. Now the pads of velvet over here refers to the paws of the tiger, and hence the paws of the tiger are extremely very soft, so therefore while walking he makes no sound. His steps are quiet. in his quiet rage means anger. The tiger is angry, but unfortunately has to remain quiet because he has no place, no area to show his anger, because he is just confined to the four walls of his cage. He is confined behind the bars of his cage. Okay? Now, so again I'm going to read this paragraph out again. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet, quiet in his quiet rage. Okay, now we've got a couple of figure of speeches used out here. So the first one, he. So basically, as all of you might know, we use he for a living object, basically for a human object. Okay, a pronoun used for a man, that is he. Okay, so and for animals we use it, right? But over here we have used he for an animal, right? So whenever human attributes or qualities are used for a non-human object or thing, is known as personification. Okay, so he over here is personification, and personification is a figure of speech. In the third line, pads of velvet has been compared to paws, as I've already written over here, and this is metaphor. Metaphor means direct comparison. So over here, pads of velvet are compared to the paws of the tiger, so therefore we are using metaphor. Metaphor means comparing two objects directly without using as or like. In his quiet rage. Now quiet rage, again we have a figure of speech over here, that is oxymoron. Oxymoron means when two opposite words are used together in a sentence to make some sense. It's known as an oxymoron. So quiet and rage. Rage means anger and quiet means silence. So both these are opposite. So again we have used oxymoron out here. So remember, in the first paragraph we've studied three figure of speeches: personification, metaphor and oxymoron. Okay, I'm going to repeat. Personification means whenever human attributes are given to a non-human object. Metaphor means direct comparison without using like or as. Oxymoron means when two opposite or contradictory words are used together to make some sense. So let us not forget, in paragraph number 1, the tiger is in the zoo. The tiger is in the zoo. Let us not forget that. Okay, now moving on to the next paragraph. Stanza 2. He should be lurking in shadows. Lurking, hiding. He again is a personification over here. Sliding through long grass. Sliding means, walking calmly. It is a position to attack or to chase. Okay, so he's there in the long grass and he's gently sliding through it so that no one figures him out there. Okay, near the water hole. Water hole means it's a place in the forest where all the animals, they gather to drink water. We can refer to it as a pond, where the plump deer pass, healthy or fat deer pass. Again, so now in this paragraph, the tiger is in its natural habitat, that is forest. In the second paragraph, the tiger is in the forest. He should be lurking in shadows. He should be hiding in the shadows of the grass, or he should be sliding through the long grass. And where? Near the water hole, where the healthy deer pass. Ultimately, he's there and he is looking for its prey. And the tiger over here is looking for its prey, that is the deer. Unlike in the zoo, where it is completely dependent on the caretakers for its diet or for its food. Okay, I'm going to read this out. The poet says that if the tiger was free, he would have been hiding behind the long grass near some of the water bodies in order to catch a deer, to have it as his food. Basically, the poet wants to say that the actual life of a tiger is to live in the jungle where he could catch his prey and eat, but the tiger in the cage cannot do so. Okay, so this much we had discussed today in the class. So is where I'm going to cease the video, and I'll continue with the third, fourth and fifth paragraph tomorrow, first in the live class, then in the video. Till then, play safe and take care.